Am I the a-hole for telling my husband and his family not to call me a nickname? So my name is Lucy, 28F. My husband, 31M, has always been super fond of nicknames and has given me plenty of them. They constantly change and I have never minded any of the ones he's given me before. They're all quite harmless, usually food or animal related. But they tend to stick for a while. His family also uses nicknames. They occasionally give me one, too. It's often the same one my husband uses if it isn't too sappy. Again, I don't mind them, in fact I usually find it quite cute and endearing. Until recently. My husband started calling me Lulu. Let me give you the context. I was called Lulu growing up exclusively by my mother, and she's passed away not long before I met my husband. I took her loss pretty hard. I told him that it has a lot of emotional significance for me, and that it doesn't feel right to hear anyone else say it. He respected that for years, and so did his family. But recently his sister has been referring to me as Lulu whenever I wasn't there, according to what I've been told. And I guess he naturally picked up on it. It's irritating because it's not like he forgot about my reasons behind it. He'll hesitate before saying it. Like he's trying to see how I'll react. I've reminded him calmly a couple times that I would appreciate he not call me that. There's plenty of other things I didn't mind him calling me. Nothing that had emotional weight. The other day he said that he didn't see the big deal anymore. It had been some years and I should be over it by now. That it's just a nickname. He said it lightly, like he was trying to let me down easy, but it stung. Maybe I overreacted, but I was hurt by it. I packed a bag and I'm currently staying with my sister. He and his family texted saying I'm doing a lot over a little nickname, and I'm thinking maybe they're right. I want to get past this because it feels petty at this point. Am I the a-hole for not paying for our son's college tuition after he blew his money when he was 18, despite being able to afford it? So at 18 we gave our son his college fund, told him he can do as he pleases with it. He chose to spend it traveling and finding himself over the last 2 years. He is 20 now and wishes to go to school, and asked us to pay for his tuition. When I asked what happened to the money he told us the above. I said no, and told him if he wants to go to school better get a job. My wife wants to pay it for his future. I said no we did right and he chose otherwise. Edit, we did inform him that the money was his to use. Be it for college or WE. It was his money after all, we set it aside for him. We did explain the intent but he is an adult and he was free to use it as he pleases, just understand the consequences. Edit, 18 is an adult in my eyes, and old enough to understand actions have consequences. We informed him what the intent was for, and that we would not police him over it. End of the it was his money and he was free to use it he pleases. Sorry if I did not explain this properly beforehand. Edit, my son knows what I do for a living. That said what I did was exactly what my dad. I also did not use it to go to school. I used it as a down payment on 2 houses and rented them out, and asked him for help. My son was free to do the same. He may not have the knowledge or impulse control but he is told enough to know it is okay to ask for help if he is unsure how to use said money or had no idea what to do with his life. I am not a monster and he knows this. He could have just asked hey I want to travel how can I best go about that. Had he asked I would have let's do X Y and Z with your money then I would have given some money to travel. We did the same with his car. He wanted a car we told him to save. When he saved up an amount needed to buy a car, I told him to keep at and we bought him a car. He knows I do not do things solely to be a cruel monster. He had a bunch of options he chose the worst one, but I was not going to forcefully interject my views on him if he did not want to come ask me for help. The fact he did not mean to me he did not want my guidance. Am I the a-hole for not letting my niece help in my bakery anymore? I, 35F, own a small bakery. I'm very happy with it and proud of my work. I have 2 employees who work part-time and for the most part it's just me. My sil approached me at the beginning of the summer and asked if I would let my niece, F11, help out in the bakery over the school break. She has been getting really into baking and loves watching content creators baking and was apparently just dying to be able to job shadow/help out in a bakery. I was hesitant, but said yes. And I hated it. Every single minute that her niece spent in my bakery this summer was the only time I've ever had any regrets opening my business. Whatever the opposite of helpful was, that was what my niece was. My employees didn't enjoy her being there, and I didn't enjoy her being there at all. We were 3 very grumpy people all summer. I had hopes that she would get better, but she didn't. She started back to school this week and I have never felt so relieved. I thought many times about telling my sil that she couldn't come back during the summer, but since I had made the promise, I kept up with it. My sil stopped by the house yesterday to drop something off for my husband. She told me my niece had absolutely loved her experience this summer and wanted to know if she could come back a couple Saturdays a month. I told her that unfortunately that wasn't going to work and that going forward I didn't think it was a good idea for my niece to help out. I told her it just wasn't productive for us. My sil was very unhappy. She told me that my niece had loved her summer at the bakery and was so looking forward to continuing. I told her that I was sorry, but I had a business to run and couldn't continue having her help out. This dissolved into a shouting match that my husband eventually broke up. My Sil and Mill have been sending me nasty messages about breaking a girl's heart. My husband said my niece called him and was very upset, but he stands by me and understands that I can't let this bring down my workplace. Am I the a-hole for telling my Dill she showed us who she really was on her wedding day? I'm the father of 4 children. In May my son Neil got married to Debbie. Debbie acted terribly the whole day. Straight up entitled and embarrassing. My oldest daughter was 3 months pregnant and hadn't told anyone because she has already had 1 miscarriage. She was barely showing and Debbie picking a tight-fitting bridesmaid dress. My daughter was super sick from morning sickness and Debbie told her she looked disgusting and stopped taking attention off of her. My son, who was best man to the groom, his brother, had his wife seated with some cousins across the room at the reception and not at the family table because she wasn't immediate family. We did not know this until the reception and tried to have her moved back with our table and Debbie said no, it's her day. It caused a fight and the best man just left before the reception because his wife was snubbed. A few days after the wedding my daughter miscarried again while Debbie and Neil was on their honeymoon. Debbie felt like that was attention-seeking. My wife, children, and spouses normally rent a house by the beach for Labor Day and because of continued bad blood between Debbie and the rest of the family they aren't invited. All 3 of my other children basically said if Debbie comes they aren't going. So Debbie and Neil got the axe. When Neil asked about it I told him Debbie showed us who she really was on her wedding day and don't expect many invites from the rest of the family to do things. Neil was pissed and saying it's not fair that she is feeling left out because she saw on social media where all the girls, including the snubbed Sil, her mother, and my wife, went to Barbie movie dressed in pink and she felt left out. Now he has to tell her she can't go to the annual beach vacation and she's feeling hurt. I told him not one person in the family wants Debbie there and I'm sorry that she can't come. My son had me on speaker and Debbie started crying, say she can't believe how horrible we are and she wasn't going to go anyways and don't expect to see her at Thanksgiving or Christmas ever again. I lost my temper at Debbie and I told her the rest of the family would be relieved to hear it. Am I the a-hole for letting people know through social media the reason I wasn't at my dad's wedding? I, F18, was always pretty close to my dad. Closer to my mom, but I often visited my dad, about 3 to 4 times a week. A few years ago he started dating Anna. Anna and I always got along. When my dad proposed I was happy. Anna seemed like she would be a great stepmom. Well, a few weeks before the wedding, after I had bought everything, dress, shoes, etc., my dad and Anna said they needed to talk to me. Anna and my dad decided to have a child-free wedding, which I get especially for young kids. Well, turns out child-free means no one under 18. On the day of the wedding, I was still going to be 17, so, therefore, I'm not allowed to be at the wedding because Anna wants to stay true to the child-free rule even for the daughter of the groom and her about-to-be stepdaughter. The funny thing is my 18th birthday was just 2 days after the wedding. But still, I wasn't allowed to go. The wedding was just last weekend, the 12th, and my birthday was yesterday, the 14th. I haven't talked to Anna or my dad since they told me I couldn't attend the wedding since I wasn't an adult. My mom ended up taking me on a birthday vacation and yesterday I posted birthday pictures on Facebook and said finally an adult. I'm so glad my dad and Anna didn't allow me at their wedding since I was under 18. I feel more mature since yesterday. The family was freaking out asking if that was true and bashing my dad and Anna. I later got a bunch of texts from my dad and Anna calling me immature and a selfish brat, and that's why I was too immature to be at a wedding. I was talking to some friends and they said I was kinda an a-hole for doing that and I should have just let it go.